Hi guys, as you recall in our last episode, our robot was in pieces in the garage. And now it's been 4 months. That was June, now it's Halloween of all days. And we've done some work on our robot and I'd like to share that with you. So here he is, our robot, not the one in the back is my robot. Hey big guy, he's not talking today too much. What I've been working on, and the pieces you recall from my last video, is the tread section right here in front. So I'm going to bring him out. He is actually on RC control power now and working quite well. Here he comes. Alright, we'll stop right there. So what you see here is just the tread section, and what I have done so far is I bolted the tread sections together, remounted the motors in the tread sections, wired everything up, pieced it all together. As if you recall from my last video, there was no way to interconnect all these pieces. I did all that. It's all nicely fastened together. I've got it pretty much built to the waist section here. And again, a lot of this wasn't even put together or wasn't conceived. So what I'd like to do, oh yeah, you can see the inside there. I want to take this apart piece by piece for you and show you exactly what it looks like inside too, and the wiring I've done. So starting with the waist section, this comes off in one piece, and right now I don't have everything bolted together. So I just have some bolts kind of holding it together. I will show you what I have here. This whole waist section comes off in one piece. And when I got it 4 months ago, this was all in pieces. I had to buy a whole new Lazy Susan because the other one was warped and deformed and wasn't rolling right. I had to buy a new waist gear, and we'll get into that later. And then I took the existing donut and waist plate and attached it to a nice solid piece of aluminum plate. And you can see all the holes in here, and with the reason those holes are there is you'll see they line up with these holes here on top of the leg supports. And a guy can, when he wants to take this apart, if he ever wants to take this apart, this actually sits down, those holes line up, and you can drop your bolts in there. I'm going to pull them in from the bottom and bolt it down, and this will give you a nice sturdy attachment right to the leg section that supports all the weight from the top. Something else that's nice about this is all the weight from the robot and the donut is transferred right down through this waist section right to these stanchions. There's no weight on the legs at all. Now let me take, and you'll see why in just a minute, because these are just made out of pipe insulation and plywood held together by screws. So this will just lift right off. Well, I take that back. I have to do a few things before I lift it off. Switch it off. We'll get to that in a minute too. And Jeff, if you look down inside of here. Hey Joe, by the way, I want to say thanks to Jeff for doing the camera work for me again today. He's a true asset. So this is all the wiring I've done to the point of getting this thing running so far. So I want to thank Bob Ross for sending me the schematics on this electrical system, and we'll get into that later. Without Bob and those schematics, it would have taken me another month just to get to this point. his design is wonderful. It really helps. It's really great. But anyway, moving on. I have to get this wiring plate out of here. And to do that, I'm just going to pull these connectors apart. These are Anderson power pins. They're fantastic to use. They stack up, and there's no way to get them in backwards. So I got to get this plate out of here to get the legs off. And I will have this held down with wing nuts too, so that'll be fastened down. So basically, there's my wiring for just the tread section. And as long as we're looking at it, I'm going to have the ability to run either battery power or external power. So in these relays will switch between that, and this is the Sabertooth motor controller that controls the motors in the tread section. So again, we'll get into that a little bit more later. So let me put this aside. And if you look down in here, you'll see why I had to take that out, because there's a center portion of the legs here that that I wouldn't be able to pull out, because it comes right up through here. So this holds this connects the batteries together, because I've got the batteries connected in parallel. And now this will allow me, if Jeff will step back a moment, you can see this just pulls right off then. And there we go. See there? Hello. You can see the bolts on the bottom of the legs here. They drop right down in those holes. You can see those holes down there. And it keeps everything sturdy. And once that waist section sits on here, it sandwiches all this down. So and this holds it nice and sturdy, and it doesn't bounce around. So there you go. So just set this aside. And here are my batteries, my battery setups. So again, like I said, the batteries tie together in series, and they plug together to the wiring setup here, and all the battery power comes up like that. Now, as I said before, on the back here, if you want to take a look down here, Jeff, this is the switch that's going to be able to choose between your external power feed, which will come in through here, and through a power converter, which I will have mounted inside there somewhere, I think. And I don't have the external power hooked up, and then that'll come up through these DIN connectors into the relays, and down will be external power. Center will be off, and up will be battery power. And in the center position and the down position, I'll be able to charge with the charging port plugged into the wall. Basically, here's the charger. And it plugs right into this port right here. Easy squeezy, and that plugs into the wall. And this is a really nice setup. You want to take a quick look at that, Jeff? And that's your 12 volt, 12 amp charger. Check into it. So anyway, that's a quick explanation of that. I have the batteries mounted in the knee section. It's dropped down into the knees a little bit. Nice and sturdy. The center of gravity is really low. Okay, we stepped away for a little bit because we had some company before at the door, and the dogs are getting involved with things. Right, girl? So this is Belle. This is my little girl. Right? Good girl. Okay, so she doesn't like the robot too much when he's rolling around. So move back, baby. Move back. It's okay. So what we have here is I want to show the bottom of this this robot. What I've done down here, you can see these wheelchair motors were actually mounted. Baby, slip back. It's okay. These wheelchair motors were mounted in the robot when I got him a few months back, and Sorry, my dog is just, well, she's such a ham. What I had to do is I had to take these out. They are mounted on very flimsy mounts. So I took them out. Jeff, I don't know if you can come up here and see any of this, but I have nice big steel angle iron in there, and I have the motors connected with Anderson power pins, so they come together really apart and together really easy. Beefed up the fasteners and make sure all the clearances are right. So moving back out, it's set at the right height now, pretty much where it was before. I also mounted these nice casters over here. The ones that were in before were just crappy. Just a little ball bearings where they were. This is a nice, pliable, soft neoprene roller that's rated for this weight. And I put a nice support system in here for that, and it'll trail around and help turn as she goes. The motors are mixed, so it's like a tank tread effect, and that's pretty much all we can see down here, other than the bottom of the wheels that are all mounted. And I put these in. It's just basically rolling on bolts with spacers inside, little sleeves, and these will never have any kind of weight on them, so it's just decoration. So okay, 12 volt, 35 amp hours each, wired in parallel, so it gives me more total capacity with the same amount. So I'm supplying those motors at, they're 24 volt motors, but I'm actually supplying them with 12 volts, which slows everything down, and that's fine. You can do that with DC motors. All right, what I'm going to do now is put the wiring panel back on, hook it up. We'll turn it back on, and I'm going to skid on top and take a ride on this big guy. So again, here's my wiring panel. I got to make sure I have it to the front, and it just drops over these bolts. And again, this adds to the whole stiffness and support of everything. I don't have it right now, they're in the other room, but I'm going to run wing nuts down on here so they're easy to take off from inside. The Anderson power pins will go together very easily. If they're not lined up properly, they won't go together. As you can see, you just spin it around. There they go. You can never get them screwed up. I'm missing something here. Okay. I'm missing my... Okay, I'm going to go away right now and find it. We're going to shut off and probably...
We're on.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I found it. I had lost one of my plugs. I hate it when that happens. What happened is this goes down to my switch down there. The on-off switch, and it had, when I put the wiring panel back on, it got trapped underneath. So I pulled it out, and here it is. It's just a Bolex connector. It's really small wire, so I didn't run it through these Anderson pins like that. So that's all. There she is. So again, this adds to the stiffness. So now I should be ready to, just as easy as that was, I should be ready to turn it on and we can take a ride here. Let me get my RC controller, which is right here. They like the Sabertooth manufacturer, which is Dimension Engineering, likes to have the RC controller turned on. So when you turn that on, whoop, they wants to make sure the throttle's all the way down, but I don't use this. I just use this for the tank control. It's self-centering, forward, backwards, left, right. So, and the Sabertooth does all the calculations about how to turn it, and what I was going to say is that as I turn it on, the Sabertooth reads this control and finds out where the center is, and always monitors that back and forth and constantly self-adjusts, so it's always in the center. It's just beautiful. The Sabertooth, Dimension Engineering Sabertooth is the bomb. So anyway, right now I've got the RC controller on. I'm going to come around the back and turn the battery system on. And you can see right here, the receiver for the RC controller is on. I got the light on, and the Dimension Engineering Sabertooth is ready to go. Green as go. So let me see if I can't just test this. Forward, back. Okay. Left, right. Let me do a little bit of a... Watch out, Jeff, don't fall. I just gotta watch out for those bolts sticking out. And also gouge up my woodwork. Just a quick mention about these. I've got the bolts, those are just regular bolts. I got them running in shoulder bolts from the back. And I got clips holding them in because the panel that I put over this wouldn't fit with a nut over that. So this is perfect. Like I said before, this is just ornamental. And this will all be covered up with the side panels. So anyway, here we go. It's really, really easy to control. Okay, here we go. We're going to go for a ride. Tell you how strong these are. I weigh about 200 pounds of rippling muscle. Just want smiling. Yeah. So, these are wheelchair motors. So they should be strong enough to carry the load of the wheelchair or the person that is in the wheelchair. So you've seen some of those people. And the motors seem to be pulling them along just fine. So here we go. Here we go. See it, it's working just fine. I've got to get in and do some tuning yet on this Sabertooth and how it interacts with the motors. But it's very easy to control and very accurate. I'm going to run down the hallway here. I want to tear up my woodwork. You see how precise it is. But I don't think you ever want to have your robot going any faster than this. Again, this is 12 volts going into 24 volt motors. And I got to do a little bit of work on the software in the Dimension Engineering Sabertooth. I'm going to growl sometimes when I go too fast. You can hear it? I don't know if you can hear it or not. But if I take off too fast, she growls. That could just be because it's 12 volts going to 24 volt motors too. But there you go. A lot of fun. I love this thing. It's as simple as that. So what I'm going to do now is play with it a little bit more. And I'll put them back together for you really quick and we'll wrap this thing up. Turn it off. Turn it off. Gotta hold this button down a little bit. Okay. Everything's off. I'm going to pull my plate out again. Hello. Yeah, he's a little bit jealous back there. I'm spending so much time with this new robot. He wants to have a little bit of attention once in a while. He's a little bit upset at me. Again, I want to thank Bob Ross for the wiring schematics, how to put this together. Without him, I would be floundering around, taking forever. I love the idea of being able to put this on external power, plug it into the wall, or have battery power and charge it at the same time. It's just amazing. Just because of the magic of relays.
Danger.
Yeah, shut up back there. So I got the plate out. I have to disconnect the batteries from each other, if you remember, so I can get the legs down over it. Make sure the legs are in the right direction. Which I think is like this. You gotta mark that. You drop right down over the batteries, right into place. I have to reconnect the batteries together with the power pins. Drop the wiring panel. Make sure it's facing front. This is the antenna, by the way, for the RC controller. Got to make sure that is not crimped into nothing. And now if I had my wing nuts, I could just run those on there really good now and tighten that down. Move the antenna out of the way. When I mount the motor for the waist, I'll have the new Sabertooth sit right there right here in this bare position, and that'll come up and feed the waist control. Okay, so let's put this all back together now. This is one I lost before, and Dean power connectors snap back together. Oh, I did that again. See, I trapped my wiring down there. So put this side back together properly. I love these things because they won't let you screw up. Okay, now next thing to go on is the top plate. And like I said, that just sits on top, sandwiches. I'm not going to do it yet, but you can see how that just lines up. And bolts will come right up through here. That's a long one. It's going to be, the bolts will drop right in here and connect the top plate right to the leg stanchions and put all the pressure from above and here down past the wooden legs right into the tread section. And there we go. This is easy as that. The next step now will be to take the waist motor. Get this, here's my waist motor. I got to get a hub for it. If you want to take a look at this, that's the motor I'm using. Nice little motor. It's got an encoder built right onto the bottom of it for position and control. I'll get a hub that'll connect that to the shaft, and this will sit right in here and turn as, and again that'll hook up to the new Sabertooth I'm getting, and that'll turn the waist. So that'll be another day. We'll go through that on another video. So there you have it. I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been a blast. I'm really thrilled that I've gotten to this point in the last 4 months, and it's fun driving around this thing. The dogs don't like it, but I do. Okay, you guys take care. See you next time.